What's a perfectly legal thing that'd get you killed if done 100 years ago or further? Refusing to join the military. Whoa. What country is that? In WW1, Americans were jailed and beaten to death in jails for refusing to serve. They were largely Mennonite and Quakers. A few were actually directly sentenced to death, though the war ended before it was carried out. Until PTSD was acknowledged as a legitimate issue, shell-shocked men who refused to go back to war were executed for cowardice. Sometimes they were just slapped by a general. Interracial marriage. Be gay. Still punishable by death in some countries though. Nigeria and Uganda, where they think they eat da poo poo. OMG, I forgot about this. Infidelity. In some places, it used to be legal for a husband to shoot his wife and or whoever he caught in bed with her, if he caught them in the act. Just as often, in many countries, that would be a difficult charge to make stick in front of a jury. Catch your wife in bed with another man and shoot them, you'll get charged. But if you take it to trial, you have a decent chance to get a sympathetic jury in the US. If you don't get off, you could easily see a murder go down to manslaughter. If you don't get off, you could easily see a murder go down to manslaughter. If it's a crime of passion on the spur of the moment thing that was not pre-planned, it could be if you caught them in the act. In many jurisdictions, that fits the legal definition of manslaughter. You'd likely be charged with that initially, not murder, unless they think you pre-planned it. Float in water. She floats. So logically, she weighs the same as a duck, which means she's made out of wood, and therefore, a witch. I'm not a witch. I'm your wife. What's the difference? The B is replaced. Being left-handed. I don't know about death, but my grandma had to learn to write with her left hand tied, because being left-handed wasn't proper. I did as well at a public school in the 90s. The teacher said she was making sure I wouldn't be different from my peers. OMG. Which country is that? The 90s. Edit. I'm so amazed this happened in the 90s. For reference, I grew up in the 70s -80s in the Netherlands. And my mom was left-handed, as am I. I remember a school doctor checking my motor skills, and me catching the ball, left-handed. His response to my mom, "You need to fix this." I guess my mom, with her memories of her rehabilitation, refused to put me through that. Bless her. So hearing this about the 90s is shocking to me. Don't know about op, but my primary teacher took away my lefty scissors and told me to use my right hand to write in the 80s, in Canada. Well, there's the premarital sex, the tattoos. There's also the witchcraft. Victorians were really into tattoos. Nipple piercings too. We hold them up as the ideal of good values and propriety, but they were a wild bunch. Mixed race couple doing PDAs. PDAs are so outdated. Just use your smartphone. I don't have a magic mirror to combine it with. Showing my ankles in public. Fun history fact, the covering of ankles was a big feature of Victorian era style, and because of the style, people added skirts to beds and couches because they mimicked a woman's ankles. Thank you /Banner Norak. Very cool. No prob. Expressing openly your opinion about the ruler of your country/state. Now it's not illegal, but you'll get hated by politics. Politics. Time travel. Hol up. Sorry, just getting back from 2046. President Bieber is awesome. President of Canada? He doesn't get the Ted Cruz loophole. It's Canada Mexico now, since America Nico united the failing oil industry. Practice witchcraft. It's kind of disgusting that witchcraft is legal these days. Think about all the poor people being possessed or afflicted by witches, and the legal system refuses to do anything about it. Up until 2019, the practice of witchcraft was a jailable offense in the Criminal Code of Canada. Actually, that law just banned the fraudulent practice of witchcraft. Witches were allowed. You just couldn't pretend to be one. In practice, the law was only ever used in cases where the witch was using fake powers to scam people into sitting. We didn't get into the details of that section. The prof just mentioned it quickly in my crim law class. Interracial friendship. Cannibalism. Not technically illegal, just highly frowned upon and difficult to do legally. not actually a cannibal. Sometimes it is illegal by a catch-22. It's generally not a crime to harm someone with their consent. But if someone lets you eat their flesh, then they are insane and unable to legally give consent. That's the best examples of a catch-22 I even heard. Birth. Having my girlfriend as a girl myself. Actually, the joke goes that in the UK, lesbian sex was not made illegal the way male homosexuality was in the Victorian era, because the male parliamentarians of the day didn't know how to explain to Queen Victoria what lesbian sex was. I also have to think that it was not a big deal in olden times, because basically the woman rarely had a choice. Her family married her off, and her husband probably didn't care if she wanted sex or not, or was enjoying it or not. Women living alone independently were fairly rare, unless they were widows. Also, most households were multi-generational, so women tended to not live alone regardless of circumstances. Women often had companions who shared their beds, even if they were married. So arranging a lesbian relationship within a marriage was perfectly doable. Lots of recorded evidence in letters and diaries. Slightly harder if you were single, but not impossible. Again, living alone was rare, but living with one's old school friend because you were both spinsters? Sure. My nan looking at old photos, that's my Aunt Edith and her friend. She never married. Apostrophe. Alan Davies on Key had a bit about that. Talk your mind as a woman. Salem, Massachusetts 1692. I mean, if you spoke your mind up until the last couple of decades, you would be sent to an insane asylum with hysteria so much later even. Sadly, being openly part of the LGBTQ+ community, or most other minorities, would easily get you killed in those times. Still can get you killed in most Middle Eastern, African, and Asian countries. Treason. Apparently nowadays you get told that the people who found out you were treasonous shouldn't have asked you about all the treason, and then you get sent home free. What country? In the US, treason can only be committed by government officials. Be a woman. Say weird things. Be another color. Like blue. Fucking kill all them blues. Of course you F-reds would say that. Hey F you. Divorce and adultery. Being gay is the best option to die fast. I'd argue that trying to take a cop's weapon has always been the cheapest first-class ticket to an early grave. Nah, because there's a chance you could succeed in taking their gun. Say you succeed, then you're a prime suspect who is considered armed and dangerous. Now you get shot 90 times by a whole response team. Either that or locked in jail for life, or sentenced to death. I don't think taking a cop's gun automatically gets you death or life in prison. Be alive. Medicine was pretty much astrology type stuff. Technically, being alive will still get you killed one day or another. Even now, when will they make immortality legal? I wonder. Everyone who's experienced life is terminal and will die from it. Quit life so you don't have to die from it. / /banlife. Hear me out. Promise me you won't tell anyone. Premarital hand holding. Whoa. What's next? Premarital eye contact? You disgust me. Hold on. I need to find my pearls. Being a woman with red hair. Bonus points if you can do math / no magic tricks. Where do you live? My grandmother, born 1926, and her mother were both redheads. Granted, both my grandmother and great-grandmother were poor Americans in the Appalachian area, so neither were very highly educated. I think they are referring to the witch trials.